More on our top story this afternoon, the IRS scandal. We're talking about an organization that has criticized the administration's handling of the Benghazi attacks, now says it was also a target of the IRS. Christian Whiton is with Secure America Now. He's a former senior advisor with the George W. Bush State Department and author of the forthcoming book, Smart Power: Between Diplomacy and War. Hi, Christian. How are you?
Good, Arthel. Great to be here.
Good. So let's get to it. Christian, when did you realize that your organization was being singled out? When did you start connect the dots? And give us some examples and specifics of some of the information the IRS was trying to collect on your organization.
Right. Well, the first indication when Secure America Now applied for 501c4 status, nonprofit status, just the amount of time it took. Literally, we are more than 2 years out from that application, and reams of information back and forth, the same type of excessive requests that you've heard from other Tea Party groups. So that's been going on for 2 years.
And I know we've heard them, Christian, excuse me, but just give me a couple of examples so the people watching now will know what you're talking about.
One very specific example I want to say is our information was illegally provided by the IRS to ProPublica, a left-leaning Soros-funded organization that supports the president's agenda, and that's when we really began to know back Secure America Now was pointing out, some of the concerns we had about the wake of Benghazi, the attacks there, and people pretending to be reporters from ProPublica called up our officers and began to circulate information about our activities.
And did you push back at the time?
I believe our officers at the time just didn't respond to the request because it was fairly obvious what was going on, and obvious that this was an attempt to smear what is a nonpartisan organization, Secure America Now, with activities that we just weren't doing.
Christian, briefly, again, I'm sorry we're short on time, it's a complicated issue here, but if you could just give me basically your mission statement, the purpose of your organization, Secure America Now.
The basic idea, and it is a nonpartisan organization, is to involve more Americans in national security. There are so many ways where Americans can get involved in the political process with domestic issues, but fewer with foreign issues. And we think that the American people have a much better center of balance on national defense than the Washington foreign policy establishment.
And with that international and national security in mind, tell me in what ways, Christian, was your organization critical of the administration's handling of Benghazi?
Well, we believed it was a cover-up in that the fact, from the beginning, it was Islamist terrorists who were targeting the United States on the anniversary of 9/11. And we believe this is part of a broader problem of the Obama administration and the Washington foreign policy establishment in general of really not recognizing Islamism for the threat it is, the glowing jihadist threat, as one top official described it.
Christian, I'm moving on now, and let's talk about this in our last moments. This, of course, has raised the subject of the need for much more accountability and transparency on the part of an agency that's so important and so powerful as the IRS. Does this IRS scandal bring to the table the need for discussion about how involved some of these nonprofit organizations are involved in the political process in forms of monetary contributions?
And we should get more groups involved. We're a civic organization getting involved. What this really should spark is a discussion about the criminal conspiracy that took place at the IRS. Some of the things those administration officials said this week, that there were no crimes committed, that's flat out wrong. The people who provided our information to ProPublica were almost certainly engaging in a felony violation of the Internal Revenue Code. There are probably also violations of the Privacy Act, the Hatch Act, the Ethics in Government Act, and I don't believe for a second that this is just bureaucrats acting on their own initiative, because bureaucrats don't bring scrutiny to themselves voluntarily. I think this came from above.
Well, Christian Whiton, thank you for trying to answer some of the complex questions in such a short amount of time. We'll have you back on again. Thank you, Christian.
Thanks, Arthel.
And that is going to do it for us.